that's off, that's off, that's off, that's on, that's on. Stream appears to be live. I think we're good to go. Hello, Shadowcat back, and we're doing more Pokemon. Is everything working here? I don't even know if everything's working here. Hold on, let me check my microphone just a second. There we go. That should be better, I think. That should sound a little bit better. Okay, yes, we're here. We're doing this. It has been a morning of just technical difficulties all over the place. So, let's see. We lost power at about 5 a.m., and so as soon as I woke up, I had to reset the entire network. But that didn't do it. I actually had to go through and reboot all the computers as well because they need to refresh all their stuff. And yeah, that was the start of it. Needless to say, it's been a busy morning. So, it's fine though. We're gonna get through this, and the technical difficulties only continue from there, but we're gonna try this anyway. We're gonna work on it. I'm here. Other people are here. We'll get to all that in a second. So before we get started, of course, if you're here and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. It's a good thing. Subscribing is a good thing, for me at least. It's not going to benefit you so much, but it does benefit me, so go ahead and do that. If you haven't hit the bell icon, do that too. If you know somebody else who's also into Pokemon and, you know, Pathfinder, Starfinder, tabletop gaming in general, then go ahead and share this video with them, because they might enjoy it. And, you know, do things that people might enjoy. Otherwise, though, if you like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below. If you're going to leave a comment down below, though, might I make a suggestion? If you're going to make a comment, why not just join the Discord? It's only a couple more clicks. And that way, once you've done that, you can leave comments there. And you can go to the Behind the Screens channel. Let me know what your availability is, what games that you want to play, and as soon as I have enough people for a game, we will start one. So, do that. I hope to see you there, and otherwise we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into this. So before I get into everything else, first off, hello to everybody in the chat. I see that Blizz is in there. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you here. I see that Alden is here. I got comments about you. It's good to see you. I see that JP is here as well. So good to have you here. The last stream that I did, we finished up catching things. And that went really well. And just occurs to me, I don't even have my spreadsheet pulled up. Hold on, I better do that. I did a pretty good job with that. And for a little while, we started talking about going over the entire Pokemon system again. Because it occurred to me that some of the things that I had done didn't really scale properly. To the point where a lot of our stats were kind of pointless. And so we'll touch very briefly on the catching system and just go over real quickly what we did there. And then I will go over the changes that we made to the stat system, in particular with moves, and how your actual abilities are going to work now. So, let me bring up everything that we're going to need, because there's a couple of things that I think you're going to find interesting. And then after that, we'll get into the stated purpose, which will be breeding and everything. But remember, I talked about technical difficulties. So I know that after the last stream, Blizzard and Alden were not here, and so I was rudderless last time. I had to make a lot of stuff up. I do know, however, that afterwards, Alden went ahead and left me a very lengthy comment in the comments of that stream, which are now gone. I got the chance to briefly read over them at like 5 o'clock in the morning once. And then when I went back to actually respond to them, they were gone. I don't know why. I don't know where. And I don't know what they said. I only got the briefest chance to skim over them, and now I can't. And I look at my analytics on YouTube, I look at the actual stream, And it says there are 0 comments. And I'm like, bullshit. I read them. I saw them. I got a notification for them. There are not no comments. There was 1 comment. 1 very long comment that I really needed. And now it's just gone. Okay, well, Alden says it's still there on his end. I can go there directly from my my YouTube studio, and it says there are 0 comments. I don't get it. I really don't. For that matter, I was going through all of my comments and everything just the other day, because I got a comment on one of my older, what video was it? It was an older Baldur's Gate video, I think it was? Now I don't remember. I could go look it up. I don't need to look it up. It was an older video, and it was another one where, of course, Alden, thank you, Alden, had left some extensive comments on there. And even started off with, I don't know what happened to the last comment, YouTube ate it or something, and left a big comment on that video, and then it was just gone. So I get a comment on that video the other day, I go back to look, and it's like, hey, here's the comments that Alden left, like 6 weeks ago. I can't with YouTube these days. I don't know what to do. I really don't. So, I'm going into this a little bit blind. It's okay. It's not entirely blind. I've had some time to think about it. Just know that it has been technical hell over here. Alright, so, assuming that these things work, I'm going to bring in the browser. That works. And I'm going to bring in the spreadsheet. That still works. Alden says, I saw that you heard. I didn't know what else to do, because it's like I could respond to it, but it's so old now. I appreciate the comment. I do. I read through it, and it's just like everything that has been said here has more or less been covered in a later episode, so I just did what I could. Alright, so getting back to catching things. Alden says the big point was that payday doesn't force your target to leave. I didn't think that it did. I did not. If I implied that, that was my bad. I did not believe that payday forced your opponent to flee. The idea was that if you use payday and then make them flee, that you get paid, which is where the actual, like, the balancing force comes in. Because it means that you kind of have to build for it. You need to have payday, and you need to have a move to make them flee. And you need everything to actually work. So, yeah, I got that one. I might not have conveyed that, but I got it. Alright, so, last time we were here, we were working on the Pokeballs, and I've got them all worked out. Some of them were pretty simple, others, somewhat less so. Some Pokeballs of note. The Heavy Ball. Now, the Heavy Ball, if we were to go into it, it actually does weigh the Pokemon and to determine, like, how powerful the ball is going to be when you throw it. We're not tracking weight. Not as such. So we're already kind of tracking weight, because when we come back to our Pokemon conversion, our strength or our size is determined by height or weight, whichever is greater. Which means that already, the heavier your Pokemon is, the more likely they are to be a larger size. And so, as it stands right now, this is what we're doing with the Heavy Ball. If they are fine, it's going to be a -16 because they weigh basically nothing. If they are colossal, it's going to be a +16. Now, here's the part that I'm not sure about. I don't remember, because it's been a while since we went into these, if we even have any colossal Pokemon. Because again, if we go back to Pathfinder, Game Mastering, Combat, Space Reach. A colossal Pokemon is going to have to be one or the other. Okay? Either 64 feet, that's going to be tall or long. If it's 64 feet or more, it's going to be colossal. Or, if it weighs 125 tons or more, it will be colossal. I don't think that there is such a thing as a Pokemon that weighs over 125 tons. And if you know of one, let me know. I don't know. Alden says that the biggest Pokemon that isn't legendary is probably a Wailord. And I just noticed that this is not keeping up. Let's see. Blizz says, Giratina is gargantuan but not colossal. We affirmed that. I don't remember if we did or not. I don't remember if we did or not. I do think that I went to, like, ChatGPT and asked for, like, some of the... No, actually, I think I asked it for some of the lightest Pokemon. Because I know that there are Pokemon that absolutely fit into the fine category. And of course, fine, if we look at that, fine is anything that is less than 6 inches or less than 1/8 of a pound, which there are Pokemon that match that description. Finding something to fit the colossal category? I don't know. I can look up a Wailord, though. Wailord? So here's a Wailord. Catch rate, here we go. Height. The height is actually only 47 feet long. So a Wailord does not even fit into the category of colossal. Now, granted, 47 feet. That's still big. Let me jump back to this other page. 47 feet is going to put it firmly in the gargantuan category. Easily. Even if it's not by weight, the Wailord, and this is actually funny because I saw a meme about this. It's 877 pounds. I saw a meme, and I don't know if I shared it in my Discord or not, but it was comparing a Wailord to an actual porpoise. Like an actual porpoise. And the funny thing is that an actual porpoise weighs less than a Wailord. However, because of volume, the Wailord is so not dense that Wailord cannot actually sink. Wailord can only float on top of the water. Which, you know, I think is hilarious. It is hilarious. So, yeah, Wailord just does not weigh that much. So what was the other one you guys were talking about? It was, Cosmoem? Cosmoem? Hold on, let's take a look at that. Cosmoem. Blizz says, LOL, it's a balloon. Yeah, it basically is. Not a helium balloon, but yeah. Alright, Cosmoem. That is cool! What is this even from? Pokemon Sun, Ultra Sun, Sword and Scarlet. It evolves into that. Pokemon... It's in Violet? I want one. That's cool. It has Sturdy. Never mind, it can go to hell. Actually, no, Sturdy is probably a good thing if you want to catch it. That way you can hit it as hard as you can and it won't die in one shot. Let's see. It is... Look at that weight. It is 2,204 pounds. It is officially over 1 ton. And you know what that means? It is over 1 ton, which puts it firmly in the huge category. No, not even that. Yes, that is that. It is slightly over 2, or... No, it's slightly over 1 ton. It's only large. It's only large. There you go. I mean, it's sure not going to become any bigger by size. It's 4 inches long. Yeah, Alden says, look at the height. I just did. It looks like something Nibbler crapped out. It's so tiny, but it weighs so much. Okay, but yeah, even that, by weight, it's only going to be large. So the heavy ball. Obviously, it's going to work best against Colossal, but I don't think that we actually have any Colossal Pokemon. Not yet. I mean, there could be some in the future. The nice thing about this module is that it's not bound by any single version of Pokemon. So if they come up with a super large Pokemon in the future, that works. That was one of the hardest ones to go through, but we made it really simple. It's going to be fine. Other things that we went through. Friend balls don't really do much. Friendship or friend balls will have something once we go through and actually do friendship. Friendship is going to be a whole system, and it's one of those things that we have to do because friendship affects a lot of things. I mean, friendship is basically what won me the game when I was fighting Cynthia in Shining Pearl. If it wasn't for the high friendship that I had with my duck, then I'm sure that that Garchomp would have just stomped all over him. Everything else is pretty much just regular. The Park Ball only works in a Pal Park. I don't know where we're going to find them, but apparently Pal Park, there is a park or safari or stuff in several of the games, so, you know, had to put that in there. So, yeah, a lot of these things were pretty straightforward. The Repeat Ball I find to be a little bit annoying. It's just going to... The only thing that determines the bonus is if you've caught it already. And that's going to fall onto my players. That's going to fall onto you to say, okay, I'm catching this Pokemon. Did I already catch one of those? I don't know. I'm not keeping track of what Pokemon you have. You have to keep track of what Pokemon you have. So if you're going to use that ball, be prepared to say, oh yeah, I've already caught like 3 of these already. It's fine. But don't lie to me, or I'll punish you. If you lie to me, I'm going to actually send a Pokemon to eat all of your other Pokemon, so that you already have 1. Alden says, to clarify, the Pal Park is basically a special park used to transfer Pokemon from an older game. Interesting. See, when I looked it up in the Bulbapedia, it told me that the Pal Park was basically the name for a Safari Zone, or a preservation. So, I didn't play any of the games that had like the actual Safari thing, but I played Shining Pearl, and Shining Pearl has that reserve somewhere. It's in the south. I don't remember exactly where. Doesn't matter. But it has that reserve where you can go and you can kind of catch Pokemon. It's like the one place where you can actually like let your Pokemon out and it follows you around. And yeah, no. Alden says, did I ever play DS? No, I didn't have. I never had a Pokemon or a Nintendo DS. So, yeah, I didn't have that. Let's see. JP says, and I guess I have to go back on this one. Gets a friendship ball, throws it at the nearest human. Do Pokeballs work on humans? I'm assuming no, but would be a fun way to remove someone from the field. The answer to that is a very, very firm no. They do not work on humans. Period. They just don't. Pal World, actually, the reason why it works in Pal World is because they wanted to mock that from Pokemon. Because throwing a Pokeball at a person has been a joke since Pokemon has been a thing. Literally, people have been joking about, oh, I threw a Pokeball at a person and I got a person in a Pokeball, or so, I'm stuck inside of a Pokeball, whatever. So when Pal World did it, they said, there's going to be all these people out there and they're trying to kill you. What if you could just stick one of them in a ball? And so, yeah, you can. And not only in Pal World can you stick people in a ball, but they're absolutely worthless. I mean, they do not have any abilities outside of, I think, handiworking and hauling. It's always at, like, level 1, I think. They don't get any better. I don't think you can even condense them. So, yes, you can catch people, but it's literally not even worth the resources to make the ball. So, it's there just as a joke. In Pokemon, though, no catching people at all, period. That being said, though, I mean, why catch somebody when you can flamethrower them? If you're really looking to get rid of the other trainer, you have much better options. So, yeah, that's a thing. Let's see, Alden says, so a DS has 2 game ports, one for DS games and one for Game Boy games. Really? I did not know that. That's cool. The Pal Park was a feature in the DS game. If you have a Game Boy game slotted in, you can transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy to the DS via the Pal Park. Cool. Yeah, I never had a DS. I actually do have a DS now. But I mean, I'm only, what, 15 years past that era? I have exactly one DS game for it, and it's like Nintendo All-Stars or something. Which, don't get me wrong, is fun. It's basically a whole bunch of mini games from classic NES games. But yeah, I don't have a Pokemon game. I kind of just missed that entire era. When I was growing up, my family, not me, but my family had an Odyssey 2 and an Atari 2600. And then, later on, got a Nintendo off of eBay. And so that was fun for a while. But I mean, the fact that I got it off eBay gives you an idea of when I got a Nintendo. Because obviously eBay had to exist at that point. Eventually sold the Nintendo, got a Sega. Genesis, okay, nothing special there. Just a Sega Genesis. And that was the last console that I had until I got a PlayStation. And I got that, taking care of animals for people. And then it was only when the PlayStation 2 came out that I actually got to buy my very first console. With my own money. I worked my tail off to get it. So yeah, I skipped like a whole big thing there, and I never had any of the Nintendo handhelds, which means that since Pokemon was exclusively on the Nintendo handhelds, I never played a single one of them. Shining Pearl was my first, and I barely even qualify Shining Pearl as my first because it was altered from the original Pearl. So realistically, I call Violet my first. I'm really late to the whole scene. Anyway. Alden says, want to add that 2 balls affect friendship, friend balls and luxury balls. I did see that. But again, I haven't done the friendship system yet, so yeah. JP says, ooh, interesting concept for a mod. Would you do minigames? No. No, I would not. The reason being is that in general, there's not a whole lot I have to do for that. If I wanted to do a minigame from something, I can just quickly improvise some rules on the fly in whatever system I happen to be playing in. It's not something that would require a lot of dedicated time. For example, what I have right now is in my Star Trek game, the B Team, which by the way, if you would like to play with us on the B Team, Again, you have to join the Discord. When you do join the Discord, go to the behind the screen channel. And once you do that, let me know if there's a game you want to play, like Star Trek or the B Team. Let me know what your availability is, which for the B Team is going to be Fridays. Fridays in the evening. So if you are interested in Star Trek and if you are free on Friday evenings, you can come play with us. But, for example, my players in that game picked up a dartboard. Now, a dartboard, well, that sounds a little bit like a minigame. How is that going to work? It's very simple, actually. A dartboard has 20 spaces on it. And so, what we're going to do is we are going to play a game of darts. How do we do that? The game of darts is going to be very easy. It's going to be very simply, you're going to make a ranged attack roll, which is simple. It is a 1d20 plus your base attack bonus plus your dexterity modifier, the same way that you would do anything else. Now, after you do that, we have to determine where on the dartboard do you hit. And the answer to that is, it's going to be a 1d20. If you've ever seen a dartboard, it's going to be simply a 1d20, because that's what dartboards go up to. And so, if you hit the dartboard, you get to roll 1d20 and see where you hit on the dartboard. The only problem with that is it doesn't have a bullseye on it, because that would technically be 21. But hey, I think we can still make it work even without the bullseye. Besides, any good darts player is aiming for 20s anyway. And so there you go, minigame. I still think it's going to be fun to do, but I have rules for a dart game. So no, I don't need a whole module like minigames. Alda says, Friend Ball starts your Pokemon out as your friend. Luxury Ball gives you a special modifier that boosts friendship increase rates. Yeah, I like to use Luxury Balls every time, but that's because I like to imagine that they're luxurious on the inside, and I like my Pokemon friends. I gotta be honest with you, I'm a Digimon person, okay? I'm not a Pokemon person, I'm a Digimon person. And Digimon was very much about the whole, you have one partner. Make it work. It's the big difference between Pokemon and Digimon that I've always pointed out. Everyone's like, oh, what's better? I don't know what's better, Pokemon or Digimon. Well, this one's got this, and this one's got this one. It's like, no. Let's get down to like the brass tacks of what makes Pokemon and Digimon different. Pokemon is about always having the right tool for the job. You are going to have a collection of Pokemon that can do literally anything. Do you need a fire type? You're going to have a collection of fire types. Do you need an electric type? You have a collection of electric types. You will always have the right tool for the job somewhere in your vast collection of Pokemon. Digimon, on the other hand, you get one partner. And your partner is going to be either a data, virus, or vaccine type. And then we can get into the different families, kind of like Pokemon has egg groups, Digimon has families. And certain families are better against other families. I want to do a Digimon module, we'll get into it more then, but the point of Digimon was always, you are not going to always have the best tool for the job. It's going to come down to how well can you and your Digimon work together to solve the problem in front of you, which has always been my mindset. And so I've always been more into that camp. And the point is, now I'm off on a tangent. I don't remember how I got here. The point is, though, that Pokemon, I like to treat my Pokemon nicely. So I do like giving them the luxury balls. Even though that a lot of them are like, they're going to go into the computer and probably never get used again. I feel bad for them if they just get stuck in a regular Pokeball. Anyway, though, doesn't stop me from using speed balls. Or not speed balls, quick balls all the time. which I'm sure look like the inside of a Soviet bloc on the inside. All right, I see that PC's in. Hello, PC. Good to see you. We're gonna have to get back on track here. It's already at the bottom of the hour. Anyway, Pokemon balls. We went through them. They all work. I think they're really good. So we're going to get back into the other changes that we made. Now, when I was going through things, because we had extra time at the end of the last stream, and so I went through and talked a little bit about modifiers and what do they do, what are we improving, because one of the things that I'm going to have to tackle, and one of the things that I may get to today, I'm not sure, is going to be EVs. So the reason why I say that is because I went looking at items. Okay, I went looking at items very briefly because I did not think that I needed to do much. And we went looking at items. We went looking at all the different item types. So down here, escape items. Most of these are useless. Because you can literally just run away. Evolution items are obvious, whatever. Valuable items are just, sell them for money. Flutes, we don't need them. They don't exist in ours. Fossils will exist. I will probably need to design an archaeology system for what we're doing. However, I see absolutely no reason not to include fossils. Besides that, I happen to know that there's at least one person in the chat right now who's really going to dig fossils. Literally and metaphorically. So, fossils will go in. Mulch, sure, I guess. If you want to grow berries, you can pick berries. I will have a system for like finding berries. But if you want to grow berries, sure, I guess. Let's see. PC says, put the primary difference of Pokemon versus Digimon in the tabletop channel on Discord. Is that a question? Is that a statement? Hold on. I guess I have to go look. Hold on. I'll check it on my phone. Manamana do 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 do. Manamana do 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 do. Manamana do 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 do. Here we go. Oh, I've seen this one before. Pokemon evolutions. It's kitten into cougar into lion. And evolutions in Digimon. It's kitten into velociraptor into Frigidaire with minigun. I'm not going to disagree. However, what was the name of that? What was the name of that Pokemon? I want to say it's Joltik. Aha, yep, here it is, Joltik. I think. Is it you? No. Galvantula? No, it's not this one. It's Cool Spider, though. No. Crap. What's it called? It's a bug electric type. I know it's a bug electric type. Bug electric. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list. Where are you? Nope. Alden's got it for me. Charge-a-bug. That was it. That was it. Okay. You want to talk about how weird the evolutions in Digimon are? I give you Charge-a-bug. Okay. Look at that. You got a bug? It's a bug, huh? And then it turns into a battery. And then it turns into this, I guess. Whatever that is. Okay, so I don't want to hear anything about the Digimon Digivolutions. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Also, to be fair, okay, and let's be really fair here. At least all of the Digimon look like they are some kind of creature. Okay, at least all of them look like they are some kind of creature. Whereas in Pokemon, your Pokemon could be a literal bag of trash. And I know because they made one. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a literal bag of trash. And Alden says, gonna disagree. It's a grub that becomes a cocoon like a battery. The battery's still a cocoon, so it makes sense. I mean, I'll give it to you, but my point is still gonna stand. It turns into a battery. And Blizz says it's Trubbish. Is it called Trubbish? Hold on, let me look it up. Trubbish. Nope, that's it. That's it. There you go. It's a literal bag of trash. Okay? So I will go ahead and I will take responsibility for a kitten turning into a Kensworth, but you have to take responsibility for this. Okay? Let's just agree to disagree. Okay, we'll shake hands. We'll all be friends. Does this thing even evolve? It evolves into Garbodor, or Garbodor. And then it can Gigantamax. This is my partner Pokemon. He's garbage. Now Gigantamax. Into an actual trash fire. Okay, so anyway, getting back to items. Getting back to items. Item type. Here we go. So yeah. Mulch. If you want to farm berries, I'm not going to stop you. Although farming typically not a good plan for people that are wandering a whole lot. So it's up to you. It's up to you. Repels. I see no reason not to include repels. I have my own system. It is a proprietary system. I am not sharing how the system works because it's going to ruin the magic of it. If you choose to use a repel and drive away any other encounters that you come across, that's on you. Otherwise, scents, they increase friendship, whatever, sure, I guess. Incense influences the Pokemon produced by breeding, which is what led us to what we're doing today. Because with the incense, it's going to affect the IVs that are transferred, if I understand this right, IVs that are transferred from the parent Pokemon to the actual egg. And I'm going to say this right now, okay? I'm going to say this right now because it does need to be said. As far as I can understand, Pokemon breeding, IVs and EVs are the single most technically complex. And I don't mean technically as in, well, actually, technically. No, I mean in terms of like pure numbers. Technically, mechanically, the most complex part of any of these Pokemon games. And I'm going to be trying to boil this down into a D20 tabletop setting. I have ideas, and I'm sure that I will be able to implement this, but it's going to get interesting. Alden says that EVs have nothing to do with breeding, by the way. Yes, I realize that. However, if I'm going to be covering IVs, I may as well cover EVs as well. Especially since, if we go down the list here, choice items, those are fine. Power items, here we go. Power items provide Pokemon with additional effort values. Which means, if I am going to allow power items, we're gonna have to do EVs. The same thing is true of Where are they? I'm not sure where they are in here, but vitamins and things like that. So I'm going to have to do EVs. I don't know how yet. I'm a little bit terrified to try, but I'm gonna have to tackle them. PC says, what happens if you toss a repel at an opponent's Pokemon? As far as I know, nothing. If you're in like an actual like sanctioned fight, like it's a Pokemon League fight on the side of the road, or if you're even in an arena, repels just don't work. Repels only work on wild Pokemon. And if you wanted to like find an explanation for that, you could simply say that, you know, wild Pokemon are just that. They're wild. It's a little bit like sprinkling vinegar around your house to drive away pests. Wild animals will be repelled. Your own animals, probably not so much. They're either used to it or they don't care about it. So, repel's not going to do anything. Let's see, Olin says you can't use repels in combat, but I'm just theorizing how that would work in a tabletop where anything goes. Yeah, like I just said, think of a repel like using vinegar to drive out pests. It'll stop the wild ones, it's not going to stop any of the domesticated ones. PC says, of course not. Has to evolve into Vaporeon first. Well, I mean, did you know? That joke will never get old. It will never, ever get old. So anyway, yeah, that's why we're going to have to do EVs, because if I'm going to allow power items, and there are a lot of power items, power anklet, power band, power belt, power bracer, power lens, power weight, if we're going to have these, I got to do EVs. So yeah, that's how that's going to have to work. So mostly there's nothing that I have to do for items. Most of the stuff is really self-explanatory so long as, you know, the rest of the rules are in place to support them. For example, like all the held items, like silver powder, it increases the power of bug moves by like 20%, 30%, I forget exactly what it was off the top of my head. But all it does is just improve their power, and that's simple. Whatever. Which led me then to go back to looking at the move system that we currently have. Olin says I'm going to post an explanation to how EVs and IVs work in the Discord. Okay. As far as I understand, and I could have this wrong, IVs are the values that get passed down in breeding, which is why I was going to get into that today. But, I mean, you can go ahead and do that, and I'll read through it. But while you're doing that, I'm going to get back into the changes that we made here. So, when we were going through and discussing EVs, just very briefly, one of the thoughts that I had is that we already kind of have something like an EV system. See, the way that the Pokemon work in the games is that they already have a pre-built-in way that they're going to evolve. They have this array of their attack speed, hit points, special defense, special attack, their defense. And every Pokemon has something that they are good at and they're bad at. So, for example, your Pokemon is going to have 6 categories, and it'll have like a little up arrow next to, say, special attack, and a little down arrow next to, say, speed. And so every time they evolve, they will get a certain number of points in everything, extra points into their special attack, and less points into speed. And this is part of what makes every single Pokemon different. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses. You can use power items and vitamins and things like that to help boost the other things. So, like, if you have a Pokemon who does have, like, lower speed, you could EV train them in speed by using the proper items and fighting the proper Pokemon to help boost their speed even further. We kinda, sorta already have that, though, because every Pokemon is going to have base stats starting out. And we did this with this Venusaur and this Aegislash. So we have these stats, and then we're giving them 1 point, 1 ability point every single time they level up. So it's going to be a total of 100 points as they go. Now, when we were playing around this last time we were here, I said 100 points, okay? 100 points, if we do this, it is going to be 16, and it was 16 and a fraction, so 16 times 6 is 96, so 16 plus 4. And so I said, if we were going to take this Venusaur, and we wanted to balance it, we could say 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, and then we have 4 extra points. Well, we have 4 that are lower here, so we can say this is going to be 17, 17, 17, and 17, and there we go. We now have spent 100 points. Now we get to total these. So 17 plus 8 is 25. And then these are going to be 10 plus 16 is going to be 26. And so here, in our total column, this is going to be our actual stats that we get to use. So there we go. And this is not how EVs work, obviously. But I do feel like that it kinda embodies at least the spirit of how the EVs work. And Alden says it's in the Discord, so let me go ahead and take a look at that. I'm not pulling up my Discord on screen, but I will read directly from my phone. So, Alden says, EV's effort values are raised when you beat another Pokemon. How I remember is that you need to put in the effort to raise the stats. The stat that gets raised depends specifically on what Pokemon you defeated, so beating a Chansey will give you HP EVs, beating a Tauros will give you attack EVs. To figure out what EVs a Pokemon drops when defeated, you need to check on the list. Alternatively, a Pokemon can consume vitamins to boost their EVs artificially. They do not translate to stats 1-to-1, though. The exact translation is EV divided by 400 divided by Pokemon level. So let's say I have a level 50 Lucario that beat up a bunch of Tauros, and as a result it has 100 attack EV points. It's 100 divided by 400 divided by 50, which equals 100 divided by 8, which equals 12.5, rounded up to 13. So my level 50 Lucario with 100 attack EVs translates into a bonus 13 points added to its attack. EVs are capped at a total of 510 points per Pokemon, and each stat has a cap of 252 points. Note that these are EV points and not their actual stats or base stats. This is roughly how EVs work. If we're talking about genetics, that's IVs, individual values. So that's points unique to the individual Pokemon. When a Pokemon is randomly generated, a random number 0 to 31 is generated and added to each of its stats. The formula for level scaling is... Oh, and I guess Blizz is out of here. Well, Blizz, it was good seeing you here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your help. And we will see you next time. So take care. Anyway, Alden continues. IV divided by Pokemon level divided by 100. If using a level 50 Lucario from earlier, if it had a perfect 31 points, this would mean that 31 divided by 50 divided by 100 is 15.5 equals 16 rounded up. How IV inheritance works is that when two Pokemon breed, the baby will inherit the IV values for 3 of its stats from parents. The specific stat to which the parent it inherits from is random. The 3 remaining stats are randomly selected from 0 through 31 as usual. There is a held item, however, called a Destiny Knot. When a Pokemon is holding the knot, the offspring will inherit IVs from 5 stats instead of 6. Okay, so that is, like I said, extremely convoluted. It's complicated, it uses a lot of hidden values. It is, by and large, useless to me. So I cannot use the numbers directly. What we want to do is try to capture the spirit of it. Now, the spirit of it is this. As you were pointing out in that comment, when it comes to training EVs, you need to go and find the proper Pokemon to train from. Like you said, a Chansey to train HP, a Tauros to train attack, and presumably, like, say, a Kadabra to train special attack, because that's what they're going to do. Maybe speed. I'm not sure. Either way, the point is you would need to find the proper Pokemon to train. That actually presents 2 problems, and ironically enough, they're the same problem. So the biggest problem, well, it's Kadabra. I mean, it's not really intuition. It's a little on the obvious side. I'm not going to take credit for that one. That was just, it's a Kadabra. They're psychic Pokemon. Anyway, though, when you're training EVs, EV training is tedious. And it's tedious because you're going to spend a lot of time running into random battles. You're going to go into a certain area and you're going to say, okay, I want to HP train this Lucario. All right, I found a Chansey. Yay! I fight the Chansey, I beat the Chansey. Now I go looking for something else. What did I find? Oh, it's a Tauros. Well, a Tauros is going to train my attack EVs, and I'm capped on those, so I don't actually want to fight the Tauros. I'm going to leave this battle. Okay? So I'm going to be picking and choosing which fights I am going to be taking part in, and it's going to drag out the method of training. Am I wrong here? Tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't think I'm wrong. You're going to have to pick and choose which battles that you go into, because you're only going to want to train the actual EVs that are important. Otherwise, you're going to end up with this smattering of different EVs, and you'll end up in what I would call a very balanced, hopefully, stat. But if you're trying to min-max, it's not going to work. Let's see. Alden says that's where the power items come in. Right. So yeah, there's that. What I'm going to say is that we're going... no, let me back up first. That's in the actual games. Now, in my games, we are not going to be doing nearly as much battling. Okay? Not by a long shot. Will there still be battles? Yes, there will still be battles. But when you're playing Pokemon, you know, the actual video game, you're going to be doing nothing but battling constantly, because that's the game. My game is also going to include traveling, shopping, role-playing, exploring. There's a lot more to the tabletop game than just fighting. You can ask anybody from the B team, because JP is on the B team, how much actual combat we get into. The answer is not a lot. Now, when we get into combat, yeah, it's fun. And everybody likes a good scrap now and again. But the combat is not the central focus. And even then, my players have realized that sometimes it's actually better just to avoid the fight. They have been in one big fight in recent memory, and that was a scripted fight. They were not allowed to leave that one. Since then, they've been approached by 3 hostile vessels, I believe. And they chose to run away from every hostile vessel every single time, simply because they could. Now, mind you, they still get XP for doing that. They made a decision that got them through the situation. but there's not a ton of actual combat. So that method of EV training is not going to work. Which brings me back to this. See, the interesting thing about experience is that when we get experience points, they are literally just a representation of what we are doing. It's one of the reasons why I have my own experience system that I'm not using currently. I'm still waiting for a group that's brave enough to try it. But it represents what you are doing. It represents what you're experiencing, what you're learning, what you're practicing, what you're training. And so when you level up, it's not just what you did in combat, it's everything. Which means that in your downtime, you could be training your Pokemon in whatever it is that you want to do with them. And so, when your Pokemon levels up and when you get to assign one of these points, this is essentially your EV training. So you can say, this level, we spent training our intelligence. And so when you level up, you put your point there. And this means that you can level up your Pokemon however you want. You can train your Pokemon however you want. Do you want to have a well-rounded Pokemon like this, where we have a Venusaur here with basically even stats across the board? Or would you like to say that, you know what? My Venusaur does not need to have nearly as much speed. There you go. And Alden says, said this when I first heard it. I like it. It simulates the growth from both leveling and EV training in a decent way. I'm glad you agree, okay? I'm really glad that you agree. But now that begs the question, though, of what exactly do I do with the power items? Do I just nix them and nix the entire EV thing in general? It's possible. I mean, if this is our EV system, then there you go. And Alden says, don't know how balanced it will be in the long run, but that's what playtesting is for. You're right. That is what playtesting is for. And if it were to be unbalanced, that is actually not the worst thing in the world. I will again bring up the example of DM of the Rings. The same people that did the Lord of the Rings comic, where it was a tabletop game, also did Star Wars. And I went through this before, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but R2-D2, the droid, is a munchkin character. No arms, no legs, cannot even speak. However, intelligence so incredibly high that R2-D2 was able to hack the Death Star. And so, is R2-D2 a balanced character? No. Was R2-D2 a useful character? Yes. Was it a playable character? Yes. Were there times where it was actually a little bit difficult for the player of R2-D2 to do things? Yes. For example, the first time R2-D2 encountered stairs. And, if you're going to munchkin your character, be prepared for stupid things to get in your way. In this case, if you wanted to put all of your points into, say, speed, congratulations! Your character is now the fastest character on the field. 100% speed and like 0% attack. Alden says, or Alden rather questions, do wild Pokemon get them as well? And the answer to that is actually yes. So here's how this is going to work, okay? I don't know if I'm going to get to breeding today. I may have to change the name on this entire stream. I can do that, you know. I can do that. I'm not going to change it live, though. Anyway, do wild Pokemon get them? So actually, yes, and that was one of the things that I wanted to get into with breeding. So here's how this is going to work. We have these character sheets, okay? Now, these character sheets you are going to use for your Pokemon, okay? It's got your basic information, okay, right here. Basic information, your defense information, your offense information, your ability statistics. And then, of course, down here, your special abilities. Now, the reason that I wrote it like this is because this is the closest way that I can simulate an actual bestiary entry. Not to mention, it makes a really, really handy character sheet. So, you will have a sheet, a spreadsheet. I'm sorry, you're going to have to use spreadsheets on this one. But you will have a spreadsheet with all of your Pokemon's information. Now, you will probably have multiple tabs like this. You will have, actually, you can't see the tabs down here at the bottom, but you will have a tab for your active Pokemon and then a tab for your other Pokemon. And when you want to switch them out, you will literally just copy and paste who you want in there. So, you will have 6 of these and you will use these to play. I don't believe I will have a way to put this into Roll20. I may have a way to, I'm not sure. I may have to learn a little bit of programming for that one. But the point is that not only will you be using these for your Pokemon, I will be using these for any wild Pokemon as well. And so the way this will work for me is that I will simply roll up a random Pokemon. And on the XP chart over here, I do not have any dice rolls written in here, but I will have a dice roll system in here so that I can randomly generate a level. And then once I do that, I will be able to simply come in here and say, what are the base stats for it? Which I can look up easily. And then I can just randomly assign all the points into the EVs. I could randomly assign them. I could evenly assign them. I'm not sure what I would do yet. Perhaps evenly assigning them would be better. However, what you're getting to is, and you're asking that right now, if they don't, does this mean that catching a low-level Pokemon is preferable to catching a high-level Pokemon? And the answer to that is absolutely, unequivocally, yes. And I really hope that I'm not far off the mark here. I really hope that in doing that, I am staying very true to the spirit of Pokemon games all the way back to everything. And did my chat just freeze? Did my studio just freeze? My studio page just froze. And wait, no, is it there? Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's going now. Okay, that was a little bit scary because it's like, how do I fix this? My chat's not going to work now. If you go into Pokemon, if you go into any of the games, you can go to the highest level areas with a Master Ball and you can catch a level 100 Pokemon. And when you catch that level 100 Pokemon, congratulations, you now have a level 100 Pokemon. It's going to have 0 friendship with you. Alright? 0 friendship. Unless you use like a friend ball or a luxury ball, but good luck. You're probably going to have to use a Master Ball to catch it. It'll have 0 friendship. It may not obey you. You will not have had the chance to pick what moves it's going to learn. You will not have had the chance to EV train it in any way. So, can you go through and catch a high-level Pokemon? Yes. Is it the better way to do it? I would argue no. I do think that the best way to do this is to either catch a low-level Pokemon and then train it up yourself. That way you can pick where the stats go. You can train it up to be however you like. You can make sure that you pick the right moves for it, whenever you level it up and you get new moves, you get to pick whichever ones you are. Now, keep in mind, we do get to choose our moves at the beginning of every day, like a wizard would choose their spells. But I still believe that raising your Pokemon up from as low a level as possible is the best way to do it. Which means that, technically speaking, raising them from an egg would be the best way to do it. But you're not usually just going to find random eggs as you're wandering around. Now, you can, and I will be putting random eggs into my game. I do remember in Violet, I believe it was in Teal Mask, one of the things that they do in the main story is they just give you an egg. And they say, here, walk around with this and hatch it. Have a free Pokemon. I think mine was a Bulbasaur, which would have been really awesome, except that I already had my Meowscarada. But, yeah, regardless. Finding random eggs is going to be possible. Breeding eggs will be possible. But realistically, you're going to want to, and this may be my Digimon showing through. Okay, because like I said, I'm really about that whole partner bond thing. Which is why I'm probably going to go really, really hard when it comes to the friendship mechanic. And Alden says, no, it was a Turtwig. Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. I know it was a grass starter. Which didn't help me because I already had my Meowscarada, so into the box you go. Besides, Turtwig, like my least favorite grass starter. Yes, I know. I had Turtwig in my Shining Pearl playthrough. I wish I would have taken Empoleon. Because I just... I did not dig Torterra at all. I really didn't. I wish I would have taken Empoleon. Anyway, though. I really think that it is in your best interest to raise your Pokemon yourself. And so catching them at a low level or hatching them from an egg yourself is going to be the best way to go about it. Now, getting back into what the EVs are going to do for us. So I went into the moves and I said, and half the reason why I went through and did the moves is because I was looking at like strength and say, if we come in here, we look at the power items. The power band, I think. Power band, held item, not special defense. Power weight, that's HP. Power bracer, attack. Okay, here we go. The power bracer gives you attack. And attack would technically be strength. Well, aside from giving you a bonus to your melee damage up here, what exactly was that doing for us? And I realized that I had made an enormous mistake. See, attack and special attack are really supposed to boost those moves. And so these skills were basically useless in terms of moves. And so I've completely changed the system now. So no longer are the moves going to do just whatever, they're not going to do whatever the power was. So before, what we had was Tackle, which is a move that like every level 1 Pokemon gets in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's Tackle, sometimes it's, I don't know. Everybody gets a basic move when they start out. Except for Magikarp. Magikarp does not get a move. Actually, no, that's not necessarily true. Magikarp gets that flop ability. Abra also doesn't get a move. Abra gets teleport. And only teleport until it levels up. That's 2. Who else doesn't get a move? I don't know. Okay, either way, it doesn't matter. The fact is that, like, by and large, everybody gets some kind of physical move when they start out, okay? And it was doing 1d40 damage, which is just huge, because that's enough to kill you. what we've done here is that we've actually reduced it. And the way that we've reduced it is this. No longer is it going to determine the power of the dice. And Sky's here. Hello, Sky. It's good to see you. No longer will tackle be doing 40 damage. Instead, we've already got a system here where we're going to have dice. It's up here. So these are the dice that we're using for kinda everything. We're using this for HP, we're using this for their physical attacks, we're using it for everything right now. Now we're going to use it for their actual Pokemon attacks as well. And how is this going to work? Well, the way this is going to work is this. When you do an attack, instead of this, or the power of it being the size of the die, so you doing anywhere from 1 to 40 damage, it's now going to be a number of bonus dice. We're going to take the die and we're going to divide it by 10. So Tackle, which is a power 40 move, is going to be, or going to give 4 bonus dice now. Bonus dice for what, though? What even are these bonus dice? Well, let's think about this. If we were to take just like a level 1 Bulbasaur, because I like Bulbasaur. Okay, level 1 Bulbasaur gets Tackle. Now, what is Bulbasaur's base stats? Let me go look that up. Base stats. Okay. I'm going to go to Generation 9. And here we go. Base stats Generation 9. Okay, Bulbasaur. So, Tackle is a physical move. We're going to be using the attack value. Now, we're going to divide this by 10, so 49. Well, unfortunately for Bulbasaur, 49 divided by 10 is 4.9, since we always round down. It's going to be an attack power of 4. Now, attack power of 4 means that there's going to be an absolutely terrible penalty on that. So ability scores, ability score cost, no, not that. Modifiers, an attack of 4 is a -3. And so, technically speaking, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet, but technically speaking, if we were to go ahead and just say that we're going to use the negative scores when it comes to the attacks, 4 bonus dice from Tackle, -3 dice from Bulbasaur means that Bulbasaur's Tackle would do 1d4 damage for a level 1 Pokemon. That is incredible. That is so perfectly in line with what we want to do. What if it wasn't Bulbasaur? What if it was a Geodude? Because this is what we were modeling here anyway. What if it was a Geodude? Well, the Geodude, I think, is going to have very, very similar stats. Where are you? There it is. Geodude. Okay. Geodude's right here. Geodude actually has... Wait, is yellow attack? Hold on. Let me double check that. Is yellow attack? Yeah, it is. So, Geodude has an attack of 80. Divide that by 10, which means it's going to have a strength of 8. Which is great. 8 is going to be just a -1. So, if Geodude was going to be using Tackle, it would still be 3d4 at level 1. That's great. Geodude is super punchy. Love it. It also means that if I were to give Geodude the TM for rollout, so that Geodude could use it at level 1, that the bonus dice is 3 minus 1, it would be doing 2, and because it's a 3-stage Pokemon, 2d4 damage. Which is cool. I love it. However, then keep in mind that rollout is going to double the bonus dice. So the next turn, it's going to be 6 minus 1. That'll be 5d4. The turn after that is going to be 12 minus 1 is 11, 11d4, and so even a level 1 Geodude, super dangerous. But at the same time, very much in line with, you know, what we're doing here. I think this is going to work out really well, and we can do the same thing for special attacks. Now, the whole minus dice thing is not going to matter too much, I think, to like Constitution, because if it's a D4 and they have a penalty, then yeah, we may have to work on a few things there. Then again, maybe not. So if even our Bulbasaur has a -3, if every Pokemon were to get a full hit die at the beginning, that means that your Bulbasaur at level 1 would have a D4 hit dice, that's 4, -3, maybe, from the Constitution? I don't know, let me check that. Constitution is green. Green is HP, obviously. So, okay, yeah, same thing for Bulbasaur. It's going to be a 4, so it's going to be -3. Your Bulbasaur at level 1 would have 1 hit point. Alright? It's going to be one hitter quitter. But it's fine. I mean, it's going to get hit, it's going to faint. It'll still get XP for it, though. Because I don't take away XP just because your character went down. You still get XP. You still learned something. Even if what you learned was don't get punched in the face. I think this is going to work out much better. I think this works out a lot better. The rest of our stats can stay pretty much the same, though. So, like, down here, when we're looking at these, strength is, of course, going to be physical, dexterity is speed, constitution is HP, intelligence is your special, wisdom is going to be a damage reduction versus physical moves. And so, the higher your wisdom is, the better off you're going to be able to resist a lot of these things. So, like we said here, this level 1 Bulbasaur tackle is only going to be 1d4. Well, if we're fighting against another one... let's see. Wisdom is going to be what color? Orange. So again, that's going to be another 4, which means that there's going to be no damage reduction from this at all. And so if there were 2 Bulbasaurs that are fighting, they're each doing 1d4 damage to each other. It's really just a matter of who hits who first. But if you wanted to train that up for a higher damage reduction, you can. Is it going to matter later on? Well, kinda not. Once you start getting into the really, really high levels, the Pokemon will be doing so much damage that it's not going to matter too much. I think the example that I looked at last time was like a level 100 Solar Beam with a Venusaur that trained nothing but intelligence. And it came out to be something like 30 dice, 30 d12, something like that, which is just, you know, it's an insane amount of damage, but keep in mind that you also have no defense at all. No defense, no speed, no initiative. It's bad. Alden says, so if a Pokemon is weak or resistant, does it still double or have the damage? Yes. I am keeping all of that. Typing is still going to be a huge thing. And to the best of my abilities, I will be doing stab. I don't even necessarily know that I fully understand stab. But, I mean, I think that my understanding is that stab is basically the same thing as if they were weak to it. It's basically just like double the damage. Or maybe it's double the power, I'm not sure. I know that stab is a thing. I know what it means. It's same type attack bonus. So if you have a damaging move, if you match it, or it's the same type as your Pokemon is, like 9 times out of 10, they get stabbed for it and it does extra damage. I don't necessarily know how much extra damage. Or if it's just like, you know what? I can look this up. I can probably just look this up. Alden says that stab is very straightforward. I'm sure that it is. Same type attack bonus. Stab is a 50% power boost if the move matches the Pokemon's typing. I thought it was something like that. In the core series games, the move's damage is increased by 1.5. And it's only if the move does damage that isn't fixed. Okay, I'll try to remember that. If they have the ability adaptability, the boost is ×2 instead. All right, so there you go. So for example, and again, we will always, always, always round down. That means that if we had a... Well, okay, tackle is normal, but... Well, I mean, there's normal type Pokemon. Does a normal type Pokemon ever get stabbed for tackle? I don't know. I gotta look that up. Normal. Show me a normal type. Rattata. Here we go. You know, the mouse that you're gonna find as soon as you walk out of town. Do it get stab? Scrolling, 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 scrolling. It gets stab. I think that we have all been a little bit unfair to the rat. You can get a rat as soon as you walk out of town, and it's immediately going to get stab on its very first move. I feel bad now. I feel really bad. Hold on, I need to check something. I'm about to feel really, really bad here, okay? I need everyone to offer me a little bit of grace. Hello, Bidoof. Did you come with an automatic stab ability? You came with an automatic stab ability. I am so sorry. I made fun of you so much. I should have been using a Bidoof. I was dumb. I was young and dumb. I should have used a Bidoof. Okay, well, I mean, we live and we learn. It just takes some of us, you know, some of us more dumb people longer to learn than others. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so if it was a Bidoof that was using this, instead of getting 4 bonus dice, it would actually get 6 bonus dice. Alden says that Super Fang removes 50% of current HP. Endeavor sets HP equal to current, so although these are attacks, they do fixed damage. Alden also says Bidoof has terrible stats, but its abilities are admittedly crazy good. I'm sitting here and it's like, you get your starter Pokemon and that's great and all, okay? Your starter Pokemon is going to be your friend forever. Or at least I know that my starter Pokemon always were my friends forever. Even Torterra. Okay? And I didn't even really like Torterra. I admit that fully. The only reason that I took Torterra is because I loved Bulbasaur. Okay? I loved Bulbasaur just way, way more than I ever loved Charmander or Squirtle. And so automatically, when I started Shining Pearl, I said, Grass Turtle, which I don't really like turtles, but Grass Turtle, Flaming Monkey, or penguin? Well, I'm sure as hell not taking the flaming monkey. I don't even like monkeys. And, that leaves it between the turtle or the penguin. And it's like, well, I don't generally like penguins all that much. They're fine. I liked Happy Feet. So I went with what I thought I knew. I went with the grass turtle. I was just I was never there. It was a loveless marriage. Alden does say that, to be fair, most starter Pokemon do get a stab ability at level 6 to 8. Yeah, that is true. But the fact that the first Pokemon that you encounter, like as soon as you walk out of town, has it automatically. I don't know what the next Pokemon game that I'm going to play is going to be. It's not Z to A, I know that much. I'm waiting for like the next mainline game. I don't even have a Switch 2 yet. But I will make sure to apply what I have learned here. And I will definitely pick up the first normal type that they put out there. Okay, I've learned. Alden says, well, it's not like it's a huge buff for an early Pokemon, but it is a buff. Even if it's not a huge buff, when you're that low a level, every buff counts. JP says, wasn't Chucky also a friend forever? I don't know. I didn't actually watch Chucky. You have to tell me. Okay, so we live and we learn. So yeah, stabbing. Rollout, if we were going to do stab for that one, 3 times 1.5 is going to be 4.5. But again, we always round down, so rollout is going to get 1 extra die. That being said, however, rollout also doubles the bonus dice every turn, so that would then be 8, 16, 32, 64. 64d4 is going to go through a building. I mean, literally, we could just be loading cannons with Geodudes at that point. You just pull the cord, fire the cannon, and then just shout, Geodude, use rollout! And just watch it roll through the air until it hits the target. Yeah, so that's how those are gonna work. Oh, I'm actually gonna change the title on this. I didn't realize I could do that from right here. Effort values. Okay, that's the new title for this stream. You'd probably have to refresh to see it, but yeah, effort values. It's the new title. Because that's all we did today. Yeah. So again, the Wisdom and Charisma, these are going to be damage reductions. They're going to be equal to whatever your bonus is in that. At low levels, it might be important. At high levels, it's just going to blunt the fact that you're already getting hit. But I do think this is going to be really important because when we look at moves, there should be a list of all the moves in here somewhere. List of moves. I want to sort by power. So, the highest level move, or the highest damaging move, is Explosion. Okay, and I want to look at this. So, Explosion is not new. Explosion's been around since Gen 1. Geodude gets it? I knew Voltorb got it, and Electrode. I mean, they're the classic ones that, like, always use it. I didn't realize that Geodude got it too. Anyway, if we were going to look at this, let's just take a Golem who's got Explode. Okay? So, Golem has Explode. I want to first look up Golem. You're down here somewhere, and Explode is a special is a special attack. There's Golem. So, special attack, what color is that? And Alden says, yep, pretty much any vaguely ball-shaped Pokemon gets it. I had not noticed that. Apparently you're right. If you're round, you're exploding. Tell me somebody up there doesn't have a sense of humor. Okay, special attack is intelligence. That's going to be Cyan. Is it physical? I just kind of assumed. I'm not using this tab anyway. We never got to breeding. Explode! That's Electrode. Well, oh, explosion. Explosion, okay. No, it is physical. Okay, never mind. It is physical, so it's going to be strength. It's going to be power. So, we're going to look at Golem, and we're going to go ahead and say it's 120, so divide that by 10. Golem has a base strength of 12. Okay? Base strength of 12. So already we're getting 1 die from that. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a note here. I'm going to put a 1 here. We'll delete it later. So it's going to get a 1. Now, if we were to put all 100 points into strength, well, you get a +1 bonus every 2 points. So that would be a plus 50. Okay, so if we put everything into attack, that means that every time your Golem went to lift something, like pick something up, your Golem would make a strength check of 1d20 plus 51, which is insane. I mean, that's just... It's insane, okay? It just is. Your Golem could pretty much lift a building. But then we're going to get into Explosion. Now, the thing about Explosion is that the range hits all others. It affects all Pokemon adjacent to the user. If we come back here to our moves, all adjacent is a radius, but we range it at 50%. So the normal range is going to be 25 plus 5 feet for every 2 levels, which caps out at 75 feet. Half of the range for 75, we'll have to round down, is going to be 70, 35. So it's going to be a 35-foot radius. Now, inside that 35-foot radius, the power for this is going to be 250. We divide that by 10. It's going to be another 25 damage dice. Since Golem is a stage 3 Pokemon, it's going to be D12s. 25 plus 51 is 76. Which means that if we come back here to roll the dice, this is... And I'm napkin mathing this one, but I think that we are looking at the most powerful move that could be done in Pokemon. In this module, at least. And you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but... Actually, I'm not even including stab on this one. Hold on a second. Explosion is a normal type move. Is there a normal type Pokemon who can do this, who also gets stab? Steel, Ghost, Dark, Psychic, Rock, Ice. Silvally. You're a legendary Pokemon, though, I think, aren't you? Let's say normal type legendary Pokemon from Generation 7. Okay, so yeah, that's a legendary. Still, though, it still gets it. Okay. No, let's go all the way here. Let's try and calculate the most powerful move there is. Forget Golem. Okay, Golem's out. Silvally. We gotta get your base stats. Introduced in Generation 7. What even is Generation 7? Is that Sun Moon? Generation 7, 7th, and starting with Sun and Moon. Yeah, okay, Gen 7 is that one. Okay, so Silvally. Let's get the base stats. Silvally. Okay. Silvally actually has a slightly lower strength. So with a 95, we divide that by 10 and then round down. Silvally only has a starting strength of 9. Which means it's actually going to be a -1. So we come back here to our numbers here. This is actually going to be a -1. Which means that Silvally, if you put all 100 points into strength, is only going to have 49 dice. But then we go back to explosion. Because explosion, we're not getting stabbed for this. And I think we're getting stabbed for it, aren't we? Let me come down here to the moves. Yep, right here. It starts off with level 1. Why? Why? Why would you do that? I'm assuming the only way to catch this damn thing is with a Master Ball. You're not going to get a second turn. Okay, anyway, it gets stabbed, which means it's going to do 50% more unless it has adaptability. Does it have adaptability? Leveling rate is slow. Color is gray. Oh, no, the ability is the RKS system. So, yeah. So no, it's only going to be 1.5. So, half of 25 is 12.5. Of course, we have to round that down, which means we're going to get an additional 12 dice. So, 25 plus, or from the move itself, 12 from stab. Let's see, Alden says the only way you can get a legendary at level 1 is through hacks. Okay, that's fair. I didn't even really consider that. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. Okay, so this is what we've got for our Silvally. So -1. Where's my calculator? Here we go. -1 plus 50 is going to be 49. Plus 25 for the explosion. Plus 12 for stab is going to be 86 dice. 86 dice. Now, obviously, since it's a legendary, it only has one stage. Which means it's going to fall firmly right there. Which means that Silvally is using D10s for everything. Which is actually interesting. It's rather interesting that the stage 1 Pokemon, including legendaries, are actually going to be rolling somewhat smaller dice. But then again, I'm sure it'll work out. They have higher base stats, so it's fine. But anyway, since it is a D10, that makes this really easy. That means that if Silvally were to use Explosion at level 100, and we maxed out all of the... Hold on. Alden is telling me that Silvally is a 2-stage Pokemon. What? Normal type legendary Pokemon, Gen 7. It evolves from type Null? What the hell is this? is a normal type legendary Pokemon introduced in Generation 7. It evolves into Silvally when leveled up with High Friendship. Okay, I need a minute to process that. I thought that legendary Pokemon did not evolve. I thought that was just something that legendary Pokemon didn't do. They only had one stage. They were at the stage. Okay. Well, that does change things a little bit. Alden says that it's, type null is really just Silvally with its power sealed. No, I understand that. But, I mean, can you catch this? Where do you find it? Quadrubeetle, chimeric Pokemon. I don't really care about the biology. Where do you find it? Locations. In Sun and Moon, it's received from Gladian at Aether Paradise after becoming champion. Okay, so they just give it to you then. So there's like no need to really catch it at all. Alright, so they give it to you, and then they expect you to run around and do stuff, and once you make friends with it, it then turns into the other one. Okay, actually, no, that's fine. You're right, it's a two-stage Pokemon. It fits the same criteria as every single other two-stage Pokemon. That's what it is. So, in that case, we're going to be working on this one. Which means it's going to be D12s, which means that I actually have to do math. So, instead of it being multiplied by 10, which was easier, times 12 means that the explosion output of Silvally at level 100, with all of its points put into attack, is 1,032 points of damage. Is 1,300 or 1,032 points of damage to everything in a 35-foot radius. Again, I'm going to go back to here. This does not even look like a Silvally, but whatever. I'm going to come in here and 35-foot radius. That is 1,032 damage to everything inside of that circle. That's, significant. It's good, though. I do think it's good. I mean, Explosion is supposed to be the I'm taking you with me move. And so, yeah, it should be exactly that. Now, this is completely min-maxed. This is the only legendary, the only Pokemon in general I see that even gets Stab with Explosion. And we maxed out the level, we put every single last point into Strength. This is the most powerful move that I can think of in the game. I mean, if you can think of something more powerful, then sure. But aside from... Oh, wait, no, not that. Aside from some of the other moves that just don't really have a number to them. Like if I sort these, Guillotine, Horn Drill, Fissure, Shear, Cold... These are all from legendaries, and they have no values because I think these are just straight-up kill moves. I mean, it sure sounds that way for something called Guillotine. Yeah, it is a one-hit KO. Period. All the time. Every time. Twice on Sundays. It is Sunday, so twice today. So, yeah, we're not going to count things like that because they don't actually do damage. This is, I think, as we've calculated it, the strongest move in all of Pokemon. Everything else is more reasonable by comparison. Okay, no, that's good. This is good. It's good data. I like good data. So that will take care of the EVs, that takes care of moves, that takes care of why you want to up everything else. And for everything else, speed. So we already have the fact that speed is, your speed is going to affect your dexterity. And dexterity is going to affect a lot of things. So when we look at your Pokemon, the higher your dexterity, the higher it's going to affect things like your reflex. Oh, and Alden says that's ignoring stuff from like the Z moves and Mega Pokemon forms. Okay, that is true. That's extremely true. We are not doing Z moves and Mega Pokemon stuff. Not yet. So like here's the thing. Those are things that were added on to Pokemon. So Pokemon was Pokemon forever, and Pokemon was just Pokemon until we got into, like, I don't know where it was introduced, but until we got to like the Z moves. Or the Mega Forms. I don't know which one came first. But that's like DLC, or that's like a module for the Pokemon games. Well, this is a module for Pathfinder, Starfinder, and we're not touching that stuff. Later on, however, it should not be hard to adapt those two when we want to. This is the baseline game. Eventually, though, we'll get around to adding the rest of that stuff in. We can do Z moves, Mega Forms, Terra. What else? I don't know what else, but we can add those things in later. They can come later. Gen 6 is when they added the first Megas. That was the first gimmick. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's where we go. And that was X and Y. Yeah, so we can do that at a different time. But dexterity. Dexterity is not going to necessarily increase your movement speed. Most Pokemon are going to have a movement speed of 30. However, it will increase your initiative. It'll increase your initiative. It will increase your reflex saves. And any dexterity-based skills. Because your Pokemon will get to have skills. I mean, in this case, I gave Venusaur a climb skill, but anything that requires dexterity will be fine. So there's a reason to up those. And then, of course, if there's a move that actually increases your speed in combat, we're actually going to go ahead and add movement speed to it, which we did over here. Constitution, of course, is just going to be extra hit points. When we came over here and we did the theoretical max for hit points, we looked at a 3-stage Pokemon that was Bulbasaur, and we maxed out the values and said that Bulbasaur would get at its first stage 64, second stage 128, third stage 816, which totals up to 1008. Spearow was only 2 stages. At stage 1, it gets 120. Stage 2, 960, which totals out to 1080. And if you have a stage 1 Pokemon, a Pokemon that does not evolve, well, 100 times 10 is 1000. However, one of the things that does not take into consideration is Constitution. So, for every point of Constitution you have, you get 1 bonus HP per level. So if we were to look over here at, say, our Bulbasaur over here has a Constitution of 25. Let's see. Minus 11 is 24. Divided by 2 is 12, so it's a plus 12. That means that our level 100 Bulbasaur would get an additional 120 hit points. Which is nothing to scoff at. I mean, that'll soak up another couple of moves. So an additional 120 hit points. If you were to pour all of your points into just Constitution to make an HP tank, well, that means that you would have 100 points in there. That'd be a plus 50. And so divide that by 2, 25 times 100 levels would be... Actually, it'd be like 2,000, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd actually be 2,500. So if you went for a heal tank, you could have over 3,000 hit points, which would just be ridiculously insane. And actually, I think I did my math wrong the last time. 12 times 100 would be 1,200. So, yeah. Over 1,200 hit points if you were to just put in the even stats for like this Venusaur, which means that this Venusaur, if we maxed out the values, would actually come out to, let's see, 1,200 is going to be 2,208. Wow. That is a lot. So we're talking about like HP values like this. I mean, we're talking high enough HP that... We're talking high enough HP that anything that you could do to them, like swing a sword at a Pokemon, is so pointless. Shooting a gun at a Pokemon is so pointless. It's hilarious. Only the actual moves of a Pokemon are going to be dangerous to another Pokemon. And HP tanking, totally going to be a thing. Even if you didn't, like even just putting the even numbers in, let's remember that explosion that we just calculated for a legendary Pokemon did 1,032 damage. A fully healed, or I should say a full health Venusaur with maxed out HP would be able to tank that pretty easily. Now, is that... I do wonder, is that in line with the Pokemon games? Is it possible to tank an explosion? I think it is. I really think it is. I'm almost certain it is, actually, because I do think I recall trying to catch things like Jolt Orbs or Volt Orbs or whatever they happen to be, and they would explode and I'd be disappointed, not because my Pokemon went down, but because I lost the catch. I do think it is possible to tank an explosion. So that works. Alden says, can I repeat that? I'm just asking, is it possible to tank an explosion move? I mean, explosion move, it deals damage. It's not a one-hit kill. I have to imagine, yes, you can survive that. It's a powerful ability. It's going to hurt a lot, but it just does damage. I gotta look this up. Alden says, yeah, more often than not. Yeah, that's what I thought. So our our Venusaur here tanking the most powerful explosion that we could make, totally reasonable. And if our Venusaur can tank the most powerful explosion that we can build, then it can generally go ahead, or it can generally tank an explosion from anything else. Alden does say that's because your Pokemon get EVs while Pokemon don't. Okay. So I didn't realize that. All right. I'm almost out of time, but this will be the last thing we'll discuss today, and I really need your input on this one. Wild Pokemon don't get EVs. That's a bit of a problem then. We discussed earlier, does that mean that it's better to get a lower level Pokemon than a high level Pokemon? If we went with what you were saying, that wild Pokemon do not get EVs, number one, it means that every time you guys came across a wild Pokemon in this module, that Pokemon would automatically be a little bit weaker. Or possibly a lot weaker. But there's something that I immediately notice when I think about that. If Pokemon do not get EVs, then that means that in my system, if you were to catch a level 10 Pokemon, you would lose 10 EVs. And I'm not sure how to balance that, and I'm not sure if that's fair. Alden says, I like your way of doing it. It's closer to the spirit of Pokemon. I agree. However, that means that in my system, my wild Pokemon are going to be stronger than the Pokemon that you would normally find in the wild. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing. That's fine. I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. I don't think that I'm going to spend too much time on this. I do think that it's going to make our wild Pokemon a little bit. I don't think it's going to affect things a whole lot. Alden says, to be honest, 90% of trainers don't get EVs either. Now, do you mean like actual players or the NPCs that we come across in the game? Because I feel like that statement could actually be true in both contexts. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Until today, I didn't get EVs either. And the jury's still kind of out on whether I fully understand them yet or not. Alden says, in fact, in the long history of emphasis on long history of Pokemon, only one trainer has ever fully EV trained their entire team, and you fought her. I can only assume you mean Cynthia. To be honest, it felt like it. So the EV system is mostly in place to help the player rather than challenge them. Oh, you mean NPCs. Like I said, I kind of thought that you meant NPCs. I feel like it's also equally applicable to players too. I mean, I'm very proud of my team. I like my team. Okay, my team of Pokemon is very special to me. Again, I fully believe in the power of friendship. And I am absolutely friends with Meowscarada, Howard, and Aldina. The rest of them are fine too, okay? The rest of them are okay. But those three Pokemon, they're special to me. And I traveled a really, really long time for that. But I did not EV train anyone. We went out there, we did the job, we leveled up, and I approached I built my team with the idea that we were not going to be perfect. I did not want us to be the best. I just wanted us to be good enough. Okay? And I know that some people might say that, well, that's selling or setting yourself short. Okay? You should challenge yourself. You should want to be the best. The best is good. The best is good for people who want to be the best. Not everybody should aspire to be the best, okay? Those that want to should. But everybody should aspire to be good enough. Okay? If there was going to be a bar for anything in life, I would dare say everything in life, it's to just be good enough. Okay? If you're in school, you don't have to be an A student. Being an A student is a good thing. But you just need to be good enough. If you're going to do a job, you should try to be the best, sure, but your real aspiration, just be good. Okay? You don't have to be the best, just be good. If you're going to be in a relationship, you don't have to be the perfect partner. You don't even have to be the best partner. Just be a good partner. Nobody is perfect. And that's the way that I believe that most people play Pokemon 2. Yes, you are going to have those trainers that are going to go out and they are going to EV train and breed until they have a perfect 600 Pokemon. I think, if I'm using the term correctly. But most people are not going to do that. They are just going to be good enough, and they're going to aspire to be good enough. And if you manage to take your imperfect team all the way, you started off with your little starter in your little town, and now you're standing on the top of the champion circuit with your imperfect, non-EV trained, wild-caught Pokemon team, you are good enough. And you should be proud of your accomplishments. And that's what I hope that I am going to capture here. If you want to be the perfect trainer, I will do everything I can to facilitate that. But for everybody else, it's about the journey, not the destination. So, with that philosophical, lead balloon, I think that's where we're going to wrap things up. So, we didn't get to any breeding. It's fine. I already renamed the stream. It's now the efforts value stream. We'll do breeding next time. Now that we've got effort values pretty much locked down, I think I'm in a really, really good place to start working on IVs. So, I already have a plan for breeding. I think I will be able to cover IVs well enough to really integrate them. I will need to find some way for IVs, or for our EVs, to change our base values. And so that when we do breed our Pokemon, they can inherit those. So that's going to be next week. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into Pokemon or tabletop games like Pathfinder, Starfinder, share this video with them, because, we're doing stuff here that's basically unprecedented. I don't think that anybody has ever even attempted to make a module like this. We are the cutting edge of tabletop gaming, whether anyone notices us or not. So, if you want to, you can leave a like on the stream. If you want to leave a comment down below, you can do that, but I would really, really like it if instead you just joined us on the Discord. We're nice there. It's a nice place. If you want to play with us, you have to go there, go to the Behind the Screen channel. Let me know what games you want to play, like in this case, Pokemon. Let me know what your availability is, and as soon as I have enough people, I will go ahead and get that game started. So, Join us there. I hope to see you on the Discord. I hope to otherwise see you back here next week when we do breeding. And until then, Alden, good night. And otherwise, everyone else, take care.